1961 wasn't really that long ago in the grand scheme of things. Rock and roll was on the radio. New York Yankees were on their way to another pennant. But 1961 was more than 40 years ago, and when you're talking about Santa Clarita, well, that's a pretty long time. Things were still pretty primitive around here in some ways. I'm Leon Warden, and this is Legacy, Santa Clarita's Living History, brought to you by the Santa Clarita Valley Historical Society and the SCV School and Business Alliance. Tonight we have a guest who remembers Santa Clarita in 1961. When she moved here, there was no freeway, she had no indoor plumbing, and she had 2 neighbors. I'm talking about Joan Walter. Thank you, Joan, for joining us.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Now, Joan, you know, before we start talking about Santa Clarita in 1961, I know you'd like to tell us a little something, go back a little farther, tell us something about your famous in-law. You know, I know that he ended up moving to Santa Clarita Valley, but let's go back a few years before 1961. Who was this?
My brother-in-law, Sam Garrett, he was a world champion trick roper, and he was on the 101 ranch. We lived in Burbank, and he bought a ranch out in Sand Canyon. It was called the Circle G Ranch.
Now, when did he move out here?
He moved out in 1960. We all lived on a place in Burbank, a ranch with horses, and he sold his place and he moved out because he had a ranch out here. And then when we moved out, we had to buy property and build a house.
Okay, but now he moved out here, Sam Garrett, your brother-in-law, moved out here when?
He moved out 1960, but he bought the property in 1940.
Oh, okay. And that was in Sand Canyon.
And that was in Sand Canyon.
Now, you said that he was with the, what was that, the Miller Brothers 101 Ranch?
Yes.
Well, that must be going back to the first part of the 20th century, right?
Yes, it was in the 20s, even before I was born. And he was with the rodeo.
Right.
And his wife used to go with him, and she was one of the statue ladies, where you stand on the horse and you ride. They called them the statue ladies.
Oh, okay.
And she worked with him too. And they went to all kinds of shows. They did a show with the Bonham and Bailey Circus, which I thought was really wonderful. They had one day when they would have orphans only. And that day, all the orphan children would come to the circus free.
With the Barnum and
Bailey's show, yes.
Now, you know, I see you brought some photographs with you. Let's take a look at them. This one is kind of interesting. Looks like Sam Garrett standing on his head and doing a rope trick.
Yes. Yes, he could stand on his head backwards and rope 3 horses at once. I mean, he is in Ripley's, believe it or not, right here. Yes. And
well, yeah, let's take a look at this one. It says this is from Ripley's Believe It or Not, and it says he can spin a 100-foot circle around a running horse, rope a revolver out of a holster of a man on a running horse, and can throw 2 lariats at the same time, one circling a running horse's neck, the other circling the rider. Okay, so I see that you know, here you have him. He's won a trick roping contest in 1912, and then here he is roping in 1928. So he was doing trick roping for quite some time then.
Yes, when he went to the ranch, he was only a young child, and then he was taught how to rope. And then he used to go to the ranch every day. And his father didn't want him to be a roper. He wanted him to be a preacher. So every time he saved up money for ropes, his father would cut them up. Well, one day he had a bicycle, and the gypsies came through the ranch, and he traded his bicycle for a pony. so at least he had a horse.
Well, there you go.
So
So when you're talking about the ranch, you mean the 101 ranch in Oklahoma?
In Oklahoma.
Where he was born. Okay. And so you've got some more photographs of him. But then here, you know, this looks to be a little bit later, probably in the 1940s. I see that there's Fred McMurray here, and Sam Garrett has a rope around him.
Yes.
So I guess he made it into the movies?
He was in the movies, he was in the Wild West shows, and he was How the West Was Won. And he often dressed as a woman because he was very small-boned. And they used to dress him as a woman in the movies. And he was in he was in all different kinds of shows. He did trick rope and he did everything.
Well, now, this is a woman, and I don't think it's Sam Garrett. I think I recognize who that is.
Yes, this is Debbie Reynolds. He taught her to rope. She was going to be in a movie, and so he taught her to rope. In fact, I have her wedding invitation to Eddie Fisher.
Oh, is that right?
Yes, and she was a very nice girl. She lived in Burbank, and we lived in Burbank at the same time.
Gotcha. Now tell me, he must have been, Sam Garrett must have been a pretty accomplished rodeo artist. I see here that, well, for one thing, you've brought with you a contract. Let me read this. It says it's to conductors and train auditors of the Union Pacific Railway, and it's from Barnum and Bailey, Greatest Show on Earth. I believe it's 1915, if it's like some others that you showed me earlier. It says, this is to certify that Samuel J. Garrett is an employee and representative of the Barnum and Bailey Circus and is entitled to use contract mileage books presented herewith. Now, roll the clock up to 1985 and tell me about this.
Well, he tried to get into the Cowboy Hall of Fame, and finally he did get a letter from Willard Porter. He was in charge of the Cowboy Hall of Fame. And so anyway, they did get him into the Cowboy Hall of Fame, and I went with him. I told him, this is the only time in my life I will ever go to the Cowboy Hall of Fame with somebody that I know.
That's wonderful.
So he sent me the ticket, and I went with him.
1985. Now, he must have lived to a pretty ripe old age himself, Mr. Garrett.
Yes, he was about 97 when he died.
Really?
And his trick rope and horse was 35. When I died.
Is that right? So
it's buried somewhere on the ranch out there.
Somewhere on the ranch in Sand Canyon.
Canyon, yes.
Okay. Now, he bought the ranch in the 40s. He moved out to the ranch in the 60s, I believe you said?
Yes.
Now, that's around the time you moved here.
Yes.
Was it because he had moved here that you followed? Or?
Well, the gentleman that bought his property bought our property. And so, you know, we had to move somewhere.
You mean who bought your property in Burbank?
Yes, the property in Burbank. He bought Sam's property, and he bought our property and my brother-in-law's property. My husband's brother, Robert, bought his property too. And so Ruby was she was like a mother to us, because she was a lot older. And so she wanted us
Ruby being Sam Garrett's
wife,
right.
Yes. And Ruby wanted us to move out to be near them. So we looked around for property, and we found this property on Clarita Canyon.
Okay.
And we bought it from Bill Benelli Jr. Bill Benelli.
Yeah, there's a name that some people will recognize.
Yes, Bill Benelli sold us the property with water. Well, the water was a spring coming over the hills. So now I think about it, you know, we never had any fire insurance on that place.
Oh, yeah?
Because we were paying for it as we went along.
Well, now, Bill Benelli, I mean, he had started the Santa Clarita Water Company, so he didn't pipe water into Clarita Canyon?
No, No, he did not pipe water in Clarita Canyon. But eventually, Special Devices, which is an explosive company,
Right.
He needed to bring water up to them.
And that was kind of down there at the corner of Clarita and Sand Canyon Roads.
No, that was SOS.
Oh, that's right.
And
where was Special Devices?
Was further up from my house going to Newhall.
Okay.
I worked at Special Devices.
You did?
I worked there 2 years. I worked on the switchboard.
And when was that?
That was in 1964.
Okay.
And the switchboard was like Lily Tomlin, you know, where you put in all this. I'd never worked the switchboard before, and I worked there 2 years. And then they took out the switchboard and put in regular phones.
Right. Now, when you moved into Clarita Canyon, you guys built the house there yourselves, or had it built?
Well,
right?
we had it built by George, and he lived in Sand Canyon. And we bought our lumber from the lumber company on Mink Canyon, up Mink Canyon. We bought the lumber from there, and we used all the local people. So,
right. So then there weren't a lot of neighbors there, I guess, in Clarita Canyon when you built the house.
no, there was only one neighbor in the back, Ruth and Ed Walker. They were part of the Walker family.
Right, that's a famous
That's
name.
a famous
around
name,
The
the
Clarita Canyon area.
Canyon,
Now,
yes.
you know, let's. I know that the other day you went out and with actually Alan Bofinkamp from the Santa Clarita Valley Historical Society, and you went around and you showed him your house and a couple other places. So let's take a look at that now.
Okay.
Well, the trees and all have really grown up around here since 1960 when Joan and her husband built this property. I'm here with Joan Walter, and she'll tell us about this place.
Well, we bought the property from Bill Benelli. We paid $11,500 for 4 acres. We had a Mr. Lawson in Sand Canyon build the house for us. The Walkers lived at the back here, Ruth and Ed Walker, and the Lindemans lived up where the trees are, up there. They had 9 children, and they were very nice neighbors. And so, anyway, underneath the road is a tunnel where the cattle could go back and forth from one side of the road to the other.
Okay, we've taken a ride out here to Live Oak Springs Canyon Road, where now there's a beautiful, pristine new housing development. What can you tell us about this property, Joan?
My brother-in-law owned this property. He had 60 acres. His home was down that way on the flat land. He had a small ranch house. He bought the property for his horse to retire. He paid $12,500 for the property. Up on the hill up here, you will see the white fence, and that was the end of his property. He had people come weekends for rides and dances and things like that.
Okay, we've made a final stop here at Joan's house in Newhall. Joan, tell us about some of this stuff here on the wall.
This is my brother-in-law's cotton rope lariat, and this is a horsehair lariat. And the hats are Stetsons, and I had them cleaned and I had them redone. Now over here you will see the panoramic view of the pictures. They were taken at the 101 Ranch, and there's Indians and there's cowboys. The top one is mostly Indians up above, and the next one is the bottom one is Indians, and the top one is the cowboys. Then we have another one over here, and it's a panoramic view right over here. Now, what we have here...
Over here I see some lobby cards from something called Flying Lariats. Was Sam Garrett in the movies?
Yes, Sam Garrett is the gentleman with the blue shirt with the yellow tie. And he was in that movie. I cannot tell you much about it because it is so old, and he had it in his den at Fallbrook where he lived, so I really can't tell you much about it.
Joan, you have some old moccasins down here. What can you tell me about them?
Well, they belong to Geronimo. My brother-in-law was on the 101 ranch, and there was Indians and cowboys on the ranch. He was about 14 years old, and he was trying to do trick roping. Well, Geronimo was sitting on the side watching him, and he took a liking to my brother-in-law. So he took off his moccasins, and he gave them to my brother-in-law. And they are authentic Indian moccasins. If you look on the bottom, you will see some straw and different things, and they've been on them for many, many years.
Fascinating. Geronimo's moccasins. For Legacy, my name is Alan Bofinkamp.
Well, moccasins from Geronimo. Now, I guess, you know, that makes sense because Geronimo spent his declining years in Oklahoma, and Sam Garrett was from Oklahoma, and the timing's right. Geronimo traveled with the Miller Brothers 101 Ranch, which was in Oklahoma,
Yes.
so, you know, it's about the same year. So I guess that very well could be. Now, you were talking about Sam Garrett doing roping in the movies, but I see that you brought with you also a book about it, Born to Rope, the Sam Garrett Story. Now, is that something that's still in print?
No, he had so many of them printed. And then when he died, there was a few left, and I gave them out to people who were interested in horses and roping and things like that.
Right.
The lady that wrote this, she is an artist.
Now, what was her name? I know it was in here.
It's in there. She's an artist.
Harriet Hinsdale. Okay.
Yes.
And yeah, 1971 the book was written, so he had already moved away. He sold the Circle G Ranch in Sand Canyon.
Yes.
Did he make a profit, you know, over 20 years of ownership?
Well, we said to him, what do you want that place for? And he had the laugh on us. He paid $12,500 for it, and he sold it for $300,000.
Okay. Well, yeah, that sounds like a tidy little sum.
Yes.
Now, he moved away from Sand Canyon when?
He was only in Sand Canyon maybe 3 years. In about 63, he moved down to Fallbrook.
Okay, so
and he retired there.
All right, to Fallbrook, California. Now, around that same time, you were still building your house. Now, I know that something happened in August 62, so you were already there, or building your house, I guess, when the fire came along?
Yes, we were building our house, and the hills where the woodland houses are built,
Right.
there was nothing but brush and trees there, and they were all on fire.
Well, now, this is the same fire that burned down Gene Autry's famous Melody Ranch, right?
No, that was before.
Oh, which
That
one
was-
was before?
The one in Sand Canyon was the first one.
Okay.
And so the forestry department, we were in the forestry department, and they told us we had to get out.
Right.
So we went, my sister was in Burbank, my sister Marjorie, so we went to Burbank. Then we were allowed to come back. We started building again,
Okay.
and then the forestry department told us we had to get out again because Gene Autry's place was on fire.
Okay.
So we were,
The hills were
going.
alive with fire, huh?
yes.
Now, you know, you brought some video to show us. Let's take a look at that now. And I know it's going to be very difficult to see, but this was shot in 1962. So why don't we take a look at that, and you show us what we're looking at.
Oh, yes. The hills, this is our house, and the hills in the back over Sand Canyon were all on fire. And so you can see the smoke,
Oh, yeah.
and they were all burning. And of course, you can see it in the background, the smoke.
Right.
And that was the first time we had to get out. And we had to stay out until they said we could come back again. And this
Now,
is how.
whose cat is that?
It's not a cat, it's a dog.
That's a dog?
His name was Sammy,
Okay.
and he got killed on the. He went to with the kids to the bus stop, and he got run over down there. But he was a
Placer
stray.
Canyon Road,
Yes,
or wow.
he was a stray. We took in all strays, and they all came to our house.
Well, that's something else. Film footage from 1962.
Yes.
So that's great. Now, you mentioned that you worked for Special Devices. Who else did you work for over the last?
Well, when I first moved out there, I worked for Sulphur Springs,
The school district.
the school district, and then I left Sulphur Springs when they opened Leona Cox School, and I was head cook there. But at Sulphur Springs, we used to do the show every year, Burnt Sulphur.
Oh, okay.
We were. I was.
Why don't
in
you tell us
that.
what that was about? I know I've heard of it, but I don't know a lot about
Oh, well, there was the Riggins, the Arklands, the Stones, and the Fishers. Fisher. And what happened was, we used to do little acts, dancing acts, foolish acts. The Arkland, one time, he had his shirt up, and his stomach was shown, and his stomach was going in and out like this, with the face on it.
Now, which Arkland was this?
This was the father of the Arklands.
Okay.
And we called it burnt sulphur because it stunk.
The sulfur from the Sulphur Springs.
Yes,
all
and
that,
the
right.
show did.
And the show did
And
too.
the show did, but it was so much fun.
Well, now you were involved with some other shows that didn't stink. I think you were with the. I guess it was the predecessor to the Canyon Theater Guild.
Yes.
Back in the the 60s.
It was when we lived in Placerita Canyon. My friend Betty Neiman said, "My cat is in the community players. Would you ride in with me?" And I said, "Yes, I'd ride in with her." Well, I went, it was at Hart High
Right.
in the auditorium, and I went with her, and I ended up playing Sister Maria in Seven Nuns in Las Vegas.
Okay.
And Mr. Mike Schumann was Mr. Edelman.
Oh, the principal from Placerita
Placerita
Junior
Junior High, and then he had 6 chorus girls. And we went to Las Vegas, and we were shocked. But it was the best show. And then I was in Night Must Fall. But I was an English nurse, so I mean,
English, fancy that.
and fancy that. They said, well, you have to be in this, you're English.
Were you
So-
born in England?
Yes, I was born in England, and I came to America in 1951
Oh, okay.
at Burbank, Mariposa Street.
Were you already married by then?
Yes,
And what was your husband's name?
Bill. My husband's name was Bill.
And you had a couple of children, I believe?
I have a son, David, and a son, Stephen.
Right. Now, where do they live?
David lives in Canyon Country here, and Stephen lives in Lake Nacimiento.
Okay.
He's living up there by Paso Robles.
Now, were they born here? Had you already moved here? No, you wouldn't. You hadn't moved to Placerita yet.
No. David was born in England,
Okay.
and he had a dual citizenship. And then Stephen was born on Mariposa Street when we lived on Mariposa Street.
Right.
And then when he was about 6, he came out and he went to Sulphur Springs School.
Okay.
And my oldest son went to Placerita Junior High and Hart High. My youngest son went to Placerita Junior High, then he went to Sierra Vista, and then he graduated in Canyon Country.
Oh, really?
Because
Okay.
they had built schools.
Right.
So my oldest son worked at Soul Mint. And
The Solomon store. you
Store,
mean.
yes.
Right.
He worked at Soul Mint store, and that's where he worked. That store, I think, was the best store It had bloomers hanging from the ceiling. It had pots and pans, and it had refrigerators that were built in the wall. And on the refrigerators it said, "Slam 'em, damn it, but not too hard." So, and then he had a meat market in the back, and he had very good meat.
At the Solomon store itself.
The Solomon store.
Now, I know that was like the general store for Solomon Junction.
Yeah, it was, he sold antiques too. It was a paradise for people that like junk.
So about what years are we talking about here?
Well, that must have been like 65.
Okay.
And
Now, when did you move to Newhall?
we moved to Newhall. We bought the property in 60.
No, I don't mean, I mean from Placerita Canyon to your house where you live now in Newhall.
In 1971, we bought this house from Mr. Ghione. Mr. Ghione was Italian, and the house we live in has a cellar, and he used to make his wine down there.
A cellar like a basement?
Like a basement, and when we bought it, it just smelled like vinegar, you know. And then in the garage, he had, he used to hang his beef in the garage. And so he was really, really Italian. The reason why we moved there was because my husband, Bill, had a heart attack.
Okay.
And we couldn't manage the 4 acres
living on
and
the
the
big
house.
piece of property.
Yes.
Got you, right.
So we moved into Newhall, and he could walk to the post office, he could walk to the stores, because he didn't drive anymore. And so it worked out fine for us.
Right. Now, 1971 you moved. That was kind of an interesting year. We had an earthquake on February 9 of 1971.
Yes.
What, were you affected by that?
Yes, we were there and affected by it. Everything come tumbling down because we're not built on a slab. We're built raised up, and so everything shook. And we managed to get by. We didn't have too much damage, and the house has been through 2 or 3 earthquakes.
Yeah. Well, that's an old house. How old is that house?
That house is, it was 1913.
Really?
So it's 89 years old.
1913, you've got a basement in Newhall. That's pretty unusual.
Yes.
You know, I got to tell you, we're about out of time now. So I want to thank you, Joan, for joining us, and we'll be back next week with another guest. And in the meantime, you can hopefully find the answers to all your Santa Clarita Valley history needs on the internet at scvhistory.com, or stop by the Saugus train station in Newhall anytime Saturday or Sunday 1 to 4. And until then, thank you. This is Legacy, Santa Clarita's Living History. I'm Leon Warden. Good night.